So I would equate this chat box like you're giving instructions to an intern. If you've ever hired an intern, like you have someone who's in high school or just in college, a freshman, a sophomore, whatever, they really don't know how the business world works. They might not even know the context of what you do. And so you go here and you're trying to help that intern, and you might be fairly prescriptive to that intern because let's say you want that intern to um, write a summary of all of Steph Curry's successes. But I might be a little more specific than that. I might tell the intern, I might say, um, specifically looking at his 3-point shooting. So I might say something like that. And then I might actually tell it to look at, evaluate just 2012 through 2018. So I'm giving some guidance here. Now you're reading this maybe and you're thinking of this chat and saying, well, why would I really do something like this? And again, what's interesting about the AI, the generative AI tools like Copilot, like ChatGPT, is you're giving as much clarity to Microsoft Copilot, to the AI engine, to find you and put together the right information that you need. So I'm looking for it to give me this detail here as much as possible. In fact, I might say only use data found on NBA.com and exclude all other data sources. I might say something like that. I want to be very prescriptive where it finds this data. And that allows me to be even to be much more accurate about the information that's being produced. So this phrasing here, right, giving detailed instructions, the technical people they call these things prompts, right? View prompts. That's what they're doing here. That's the whole idea is that you don't have to write everything all at once. You can write a part of it and then you see the information come back and then you can write a little bit more and you can write a little bit more. I have some difficulty with explaining prompts to people and what that means to them. There's no context for them. There's no real association to be like, I don't, for them to get it. I do like this idea of when you're really trying to help someone find success in their job and they're interns, right? They really don't know, but they have a wealth of resources. I'm going to give them a lot of detail so that we keep the response from that intern. We keep it to a level here that, like that we're going to get something done, right? It's going to be fairly accurate. It's going to be fairly small in scope, and we're going to be able to get it done. The difference in this Copilot intern, if you will, is that Copilot has access to an enormous amount of information, an enormous capability, very, very powerful in doing analysis. So asking it to do comparative information, very powerful at that, very powerful at quantitative type of calculations, quantitative analysis. So there's a lot of things here that you know that many times an intern probably couldn't do that Copilot can do. And that all comes down to how do you get enough of the specifics in the request in order for you to feel like you're getting something powerful. So to give you an example, I've written these scripts, if you will, here, these prompts. I've written them to the point where it's almost about a half a page of information that I've given Copilot, where I've actually spent a lot of time putting together what I'm going to write into here. So this is kind of the first place you want to really guide either for yourself or you want to guide your team, right? And I have no idea. This is my first time requesting this because I'm just curious to see what Copilot does with it. Um, and I'm going to let it produce whatever it's going to produce here. It's going to break down some. Look at that breakdown. I didn't tell it to do that. It just thought this was the best way to promote that. Um, and then it went through and said, looked at the overall shooting percentage. I could now go back to it and say, right here, you see Copilot, this is kind of nice, is saying, do you want to compare him to other shooters? And I go, yeah. Um, So now I've got the top 5 shooters from the last 5 years. So now it's going to go through and it's going to go, wow, wait a minute. Now this is the generative part. This is where we're actually, sorry, this is the chat part where we started somewhere and we realized we wanted to go a little deeper. So we asked the next question. When we're in this page, this single page, we're in the same context. Like the AI is pulling from the same context around around the various shooters and how the topic we hear of Steph Curry and other shooters to compare him to. So really interesting here and what it does. Now I'd have to go through this to see if I think this is accurate and where the data is coming from. But generally this tool is saying, hey, this would be the next logical thing I might ask. Like if these are his numbers, how does Steph Curry's numbers map to somebody else? And again, that's really the power for discovery for staff members, not just for yourself, for staff members.